It will bring this May 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Jericho Selectboard at 6:30 p.m. And I'm starting to read our little notes at the beginning of each meeting. So in order to make our meetings more effective and efficient, we may have changed the public comment portion of the meeting. Citizens or others wishing to address the select board during meeting may do so during the public comment portion. All comments are listed to 3 minutes per speaker, and all speakers will be heard before people are given a second chance to speak. Once public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public is able to speak if the chair determines their input is needed during another portion of the meeting. And the technical question is for those on Zoom. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Only use the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio, or you can't raise your hand or things of that nature. Please don't comment or question in the chat. It's very distracting to all of us. We don't want to stifle community input, but rather allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in our work. And before we go to the actual public to be heard, as you know, this is the first meeting of the Jericho Select Board since John Abbott, the town administrator, announced his resignation. And the select board does want to recognize in particular the effort John put into educating the public and community about the need for a new maintenance facility and squaring that whole process through to a successful passage of the board that the bond needed to build it. And John, from his prior years of experience at UVM with engaged in DEI, was also able to use that skill to move the town along that path as well. And so we wish him well in his future endeavors. And we have appointed Paula Carrier as assistant, who is the assistant town administrator. So that's our get some housekeeping out of the way. And I'm making a change to the the agenda. And right after public to be heard, we're going to hear the update on the town meeting reimagine task force from Gaye Symington before we go on to the committee, connectivity new mission statement, rather than have it wait all the way till updates. All right. So anyway, public to be heard. This is, anything you want to talk about that's particularly not on the agenda. And it doesn't look like it.
No, you don't mind?
No. Okay. So, all right, Gaye, you're up and I'm already. We felt bad we had to wait so long the last time. All right. We're very patient.
Yeah, I'm just here to give you an update, really. And I sent out, we've met twice, and we've set in motion, we're aiming to meet 5 or 6 times before we come to you with at least a framework by June 20th. That feels rushed, but it's likely that, some piece of this would need to begin in the fall. So it's not like I don't envision we're going to have figured everything out by June 20th, but we could have a conversation about the framework and where we're headed and at least begin to work on the specifics of the fall components. So anyway, our main challenge is that there's so much going on in Jericho that this room is hardly ever available. And we're either going to meet on Zoom or, find another location. And Deborah Ross and library rooms aren't available either. So we're just looking for space. Not on the nights that our group can meet. Sometimes meeting by Zoom is fine, but right now we're sort of in trying to move from brainstorming to getting an outline together. And so at least the old folks who lead the meeting, and me and David, we're used to paper and markers and Jennifer, and they're really skilled people on the group who can do all this by using Zoom skills like whiteboards and stuff. And David and I are so we're working that through.
I'm the only select board member with still pencil.
Yeah. There's something about writing that works with my brain. But anyway, so we've been collecting information, reaching out to people for different organizations for advice. And in doing that, I've kind of written up, this is, I realized I was writing the same general outline over and over again. So I've written a general outline. I sent that to you. I'm happy to go over it. I don't want to repeat what you may have read.
I haven't had
But
a chance to look at it. So
okay, good.
I haven't read it either, and that's supposed to be good for the town meeting too.
Okay, good. So the articles that were passed, and I think last time I talked about a 3-step process, sort of what I shorthand call the kickoff, the discussion, and what the verb is, we haven't figured out, but communicating to the select board, the public's reaction to the draft budget that you present, and then the vote. That middle one is the town meeting and being reimagined, but a vote doesn't happen there. It's the discussion. And there are a lot of questions about what we can and can't do in those various components. So we're reaching out to the League of Cities and Towns, the Secretary of State Elections Division, local municipal elections division. Jessica is formally talking to the League of Cities and Towns because it needs to be a town employee who speaks to, who's getting formal advice. I do know Ted Brady, and I was able to talk with him, and he and I it was a really helpful conversation, and he said, I'm not the lawyer. You may not, please don't get me in trouble. I'll tell you what
thoughts, but we don't count.
Yeah, here are my thoughts. But it was really, really helpful. And one of the things he suggested is that we reach out to Susan Clark, who's the moderator of Middlesex town meeting. And she wrote a book. I forget the title of the book. It's one of those phrases that sounds like town meeting, but it's all about town meetings. That she and Frank Bryant wrote it. And she is working apparently with other towns that are either trying to build community or work on their community meeting process. One of them he mentioned was Craftsbury. So I have reached out to Susan in hopes that she will, she could be a resource. I'm hoping that she'll be interested. If that ends up needing a stipend, I may come back and ask if that'd be possible, but it's, I think she could be really helpful in as we work along. We also have reached out to Pomfret already.
Town?
That is the town.
Okay, it is Pomfret.
Yes. Jennifer had reached out to them. It's a much smaller town than Jericho. It's about 800 people. But it was helpful to kind of see what they've done. It wasn't the same as what we're talking about or what was authorized or addressed in the motions, but it was clearly on the same path.
Are you able to briefly illuminate the two differences between what we're trying to do and what they have done?
What they were, I think so. I don't have my notes from that meeting. But as I recall, the second meeting, what they're talking about was kind of a ginned up information session, essentially. And this distinguishing factor that we're trying to navigate is the concept of, the voters.
Select board what to do.
Exactly. Which I think we probably can't do, at least initially. But I actually have that in my questions for you today. But yeah, that is kind of the difference. There was this concept.
They aren't doing what we're hoping to do.
Right. They're trying to address some of the same issues, but in a somewhat different, not in the same way. I had not appreciated, I think I mentioned this last time, the notion of a kickoff it went right by me in town meeting, but it was clearly something that a number of others picked up on. that the sense of, as we start this process of writing a budget, let's talk about the big concepts. What matters? What do you want the budget to reflect? Because by the time you get to the town meeting, we're talking about, road salt, library staff, benefits, whatever. It's around the edges.
It's not
And-
kind of bring up like, hey, why don't we have this large, big conversation?
Yeah. How does this relate to the town plan?
$1,000
Right.
out of our road budget.
Right, right, like,
Nobody in the audience were like,
right.
Right.
you guys good with that?
I know.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah. Oh, and things like it's also like how does this relate to our town plan? How does this relate to some initiative that's coming, our way? Our hopes and dreams, whatever. So, anyway, that kickoff part of it is an important. It's not just sort of publicizing the process. It's creating a time that, an event, whatever.
Yeah, I like that part to get some input from
Yeah.
the town, and there's gonna be input that we don't take, but it's good to know what it is. and
Right.
So that you can articulate the decisions that you made. Hey, we understand this is a priority, here's some obligations we have, you can speak
Yeah.
a little bit better instead of, like you said, at town meeting. Why did you raise benefits? Why did you remove road salt or to alternative, like,
Right.
so
Right.
I like that.
That is good. Absolutely.
And the third step is pretty obvious. It's voting by Australian ballot. So it's just a vote. So it's this second meeting that we're working through some of the questions on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I asked early on was, I think many of us had assumed that the vote would happen on town meeting day. And-
Ballot vote.
Yeah. And this town meeting reimagined, or this step 2 would need to happen early, like February-ish or January. And that compresses the whole process. And I asked, why couldn't the discussion be on the town meeting day and then we vote in April? That's not unheard of. When we met with Catherine, when Catherine was at our meeting, it was clear, you don't want to have us vote on June 30th because what if voters say no? But which has never happened, but we haven't had Australian ballot.
That's right.
So anyway, couldn't we vote that in April? And there's my interpretation of mostly sort of body language from you all was that sounded better. Like, not to compress this whole process.
Especially if we're trying to make the process be more involved and deeper and not just,
Yeah,
I haven't done it, but the select board says, here's our budget and public meetings and great, thank you for commenting, we're moving forward, but more of an involved process plus compressing it
yeah,
feels
Yeah.
contradictory.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. My only caveat is, as long as doing that election later than town meeting day isn't a huge pain in the butt for.
Right.
The election staff and all of that, like that's.
Right.
In the school to do it.
there are a couple of issues with it. One is it isn't allowed.
Oh, we didn't.
I don't think so.
Oh, there's that.
That you should have said first.
That came up in my conversation with Ted. Jericho is not a charter town, is that correct?
We are.
Oh, we are a charter town.
Yes,
So what does it,
Sure.
right.
okay, so what does our charter say about when we vote the budget? Because if it's silent on that question, the default is that we voted on town meeting day.
Well, if it's not silent on it, then it's also going to say town meeting day, so that kind of answers, right?
But on the other hand, you can always change your charter.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you need a 15%,
Well,
we'll get it, but like.
It means, right, that's exactly right. We have a process ahead of us.
right.
And so, one question is, And I know that requires legislative approval. You can't just put through a charter change. It isn't out of the question that it could happen, but it seems a little unlikely that we could do it by next year's budget process.
Yes, I think you have to go through an Australian ballot vote on a charter change as well. I'm not sure. Particularly since all these major questions are now on Australian ballot. They
Right.
probably can't do it like we did from the floor, or something like that.
Right. I mean, we have some voting days coming up with November. But anyway, that's a whole series of questions. That's one nature of the questions is, I guess it would be helpful if I could get a copy of the charter. Is that online or something?
I'll add it right now.
Okay,
Right now.
okay.
I used to be the guy that's do that.
Yeah.
It's only 2.5 pages.
Yeah,
That's very.
it's very short.
Okay.
I see, it's not circular, but I don't see any mention of town meeting at all.
Okay. Well, anyway, I will look at that and
Or even vote. Like,
that's one of the, but let me just first, I want to just confirm, I guess, that it would feel more workable to you if we could have this vote happen after the March. Okay.
Because to me, that would be the least amount of change. You would have, town meeting wouldn't change really in any way except for that all in favor or whatever, right?
Right.
Like, all that happens on paper at a later time. Everything else is virtually the same.
Plus, you still get all of the activity that's.
Everything else.
That's town meeting, the library with the donuts and the book, buying book.
Well, yes, and to be clear, whenever we have that second meeting, the group definitely wants all that. It would build all that into that second meeting. But yes, you're right. It's how we think. We think of that as happening the first Tuesday of March. So part of my line of looking is what was involved in a charter change. How would we get the authorization to have that vote happen in this later?
Next 2 months. In the next 2 months.
Well,
We'll see.
actually, I mean, if there isn't I don't know whether they can put Jessica could put a ballot item for November, the November election.
That's what I mean. Maybe it could. Still, it has to go through the legislature, but they do charter changes often, at least an old time legislature used to try to put the simple charter changes through really early.
Right out of the gate, they're saying that they did a bunch like.
Right, if it isn't controversial.
Right.
Changing Ted, Ted's comments, and again, we were just talking as people who know each other. He was not giving me legal advice. But he said, moving the vote is probably, towns do that. Essex, there are plenty of towns that don't vote their budget on town. There are towns that don't vote their budget on town meeting day.
Right.
And certainly schools do it later than town meeting day. He raised his eyebrows at the notion of the electorate at an in-person meeting saying to the select board, we authorize putting this budget in this total budget in front of the voters. He wondered whether that would be more controversial and
In Jericho or like at the legislative?
at the legislative level. It
Yeah.
was just a good heads up, an observation question. So one of the questions I asked him was, okay, if we're on this path, if we are going to be instead on a path where we need to vote on town meeting day, then you're creating this new meeting. And how can that happen? And what we talked about was, well, the select board can call a special town meeting at any point. And it could be an a discussion and an advisory vote.
Right, that makes sense.
And,
Call it for
right,
January 15th, so that's
right.
get those answers in time to get it in the book and all.
Right. So again, the lawyers will check this, but I'm just giving you kind of some of the things we're trying to figure out. And he said, well, is it okay that it's, I mean, we talked about, is it advisory, is that's not necessarily what people were talking about. On the other hand, can you help me understand on what I said to Ted was, I think all we do at town meeting is approve the bottom line number. They hear the discussion, but they actually, we're not, as I recall, you are often explaining to us, you're taking what we do under advisement,
Right,
and what we're doing is approving the bottom line. Isn't that true?
that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I
The
think
vote
that's-
is,
I
the
think
vote
that
is
comes-
for the bottom line.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we say we don't want you to do this, or we're eliminating this line item,
Take $20,000 and put it from X and move it to Y. Great, okay, fabulous, wonderful, whatever. Your bottom line number is all you really are voting.
Just like throughout the year.
yeah.
Hey, something
blew up, yeah.
Right.
Well, hey, guess what?
Okay.
We have budget in this line item because we didn't use.
We took both
you know,
X
we-
completely.
yeah, no, as I say, that was my impression.
Yeah.
I mean, he was surprised by that, so, and he said he would check, but
But that comes from,
Just
that's something, that comes from the Secretary of State's office.
That's pretty, like, the school board the same way.
Yeah.
School
Yeah,
board,
yeah, I just, that's helpful. I just thought, that's what I wanted to check. So yeah, I mean, part of what we are now trying to do, and Jessica she was helpful, and except that she knows so much, there's no way we could all absorb what she was saying in terms of what you can do when and what happens when and what has to be.
Dates,
Right.
So many 45 days from this and.
Right, like one question we are beginning to think about is, can you all put together a town report that has the draft budget in it? If that happens, then how do we get whatever the modified budget is that we're actually voting on out to the voters? What form does that have to take? It doesn't have to be another whole town report. It could be posted, it could be distributed on a card like the library does, or it's just,
Between step 2 and step 3.
yeah,
So we send a town report for step 2, and then the meeting happens, and $1,000 is added to the salt budget or whatever, and then what legally has to happen to communicate the new budget amount.
right. Well, it could be for both, actually. It could be the town report. This gets to the crunch. Like if the printing deadline is part of what makes this such a crunch, can the town report not include the budget at all? And that be sent separately or posted, or, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna hold a vote without people having access to it, but can it be like MMU now sends a little postcard and you go get it online. And so I'm not here to advocate for anything, but this is again, if we end up in this crunch, what do we really have as the constraints around this process, and what might the schedule look like?
I guess it all depends on when that middle section happens. If it happens in town meeting day, then it can easily be a draft in there.
Sure,
But if it's a January thing, I think it really is digital and with a postcard.
right. And does it have to be January? Could it be February? I mean, it's like, that's what we're trying to figure out.
It'll.
If the vote is on the first Tuesday of March,
Yeah,
When you say the vote, you mean the Australian ballot?
if the Australian ballot vote has to be this first year on the first Tuesday in March.
then it really is January.
Yeah.
In order to get the town report out in time.
But that's what I'm saying. If the town report is separated from the budget and it's out, and then separately from that, you put out a budget. I'm not trying to,
I know.
Advocate.
You just have to think about it.
yeah,
My thought is that that's a bigger question than this conversation right now. And that maybe you and Paula sit down and look at, like, okay, so here's last year, we started in October, here's the process, here are the dates that we have to hit. And then you guys can look at it and say, well, if the select board said it was okay to send out the report without the budget, then we could do this, and then bring that to us and say like, you have there's kind of two ways this could happen, or three
Right.
ways. We
Right.
think this is the best, but if you
Okay.
don't like, and just sort
Right.
of go from there, but,
I mean, then, I think there'll be a couple of paths. One is if we can
right,
postpone that vote, the Australian ballot into April. If that looks like is feasible, I think that's what people would like.
Oh, I do
I
too.
agree.
And
That's what they're missing.
the question is, the first year, can we do that? Because it'll involve I think that'll involve a charter change. One way around it is that we could just have it inserted into a bill that either it can say the town of Jericho is allowed to vote in April, hold their budget vote in April. I mean, if,
Between now and May 10th,
yes. Or, I mean, obviously that's unlikely, or in the first couple weeks of the session,
new session.
but that's a whole new session. It's not the,
It's, right.
it's,
not the second.
so, it's, anyway, my point is, it's worth trying to get that second vote in April, because the other thing is, if we vote an Australian ballot vote town meeting day, the first Tuesday in March, and it goes down, we would have a vote. We would schedule a vote.
Right.
Right, and school budgets do, I mean, you can you have to be ready for it, but you can get, towns are voting 4 times, schools are voting 4 times
Right,
before June 30. It can be done, but you can get it down, there's a process and it can be done, so
Right.
I wouldn't want that to be.
I don't want that either, but it says to me it is not unheard of to have votes
right.
in
To
April.
have votes outside of town meeting.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
if you look at the Essex towns, I mean, they vote on a totally different timeline than most other towns in Chittenden County.
Right,
The only thing that feels important to me, because the majority of voters aren't tuned into any of this, is to really work to make next year's process as close as possible to what the new process is gonna be. So it's not like, oh, it would be, maybe it has to be, really, I would not want next year to be like, oh, on town meeting day, it's Australian ballot, and there's no lead up, no change. We just did away with town meeting, and then like, the following year, like, oh, wait, town meeting is back. I'd like to try to get the path that we go on for the
Right.
next year as close to the final path
Right.
as possible.
I think the key is finding a way to be able to have the Australian ballot vote in April.
Which is why I also like what you're talking about, having this kickoff in October to get people really thinking about budget early, rather than, because we never, I mean, it's rare to come to any of the budget meetings.
Mhm.
And, we used to have at least one part of the budget talked about every meeting from, November, beginning of November on. Until it was final.
Well, what I sent you is kind of that with some of those questions. And then at the end, I have a list of questions that we're asking as we go. And, if you read this and you go, well, here's another question, or what is it, I don't like this idea, I'd be glad to hear them. But that's kind of the path. I'm happy to answer other questions, but that's kind of the path we're on.
Thank you.
I think it's very exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah, I really appreciate the work and the effort and the care of building the whole thing, and then I'm just
Yeah, I mean, they're doing 3 meetings.
not just fading away, like, oh, we have that idea, oh, we should have done that, I appreciate you guys doing it.
Thanks. Yeah.
3 days, May and probably June. Probably.
So do you, I don't come back until June 20th, or should I
Well,
keep?
just keep us informed by email then,
Okay,
because clearly when your meetings meet and our meetings are off sync. Well,
Yeah,
and so.
we usually try to get the budget out, or the budget,
Agenda.
the agenda out, Monday or something before the select board meeting.
But their meetings are off sync from our meetings, is the issue, and so we really won't actually see them until looking at their schedule until June.
Yeah,
because we're not meeting until, I couldn't come to your first meeting in June. I'm not sure why you,
I think there's,
but they have several meetings.
your several meetings, I think that there was some scheduling, I think that's one of the meetings that you were scheduled to have your own meeting.
oh, I see. Well, if it's helpful, I can,
Yeah.
I would say that you just keep us updated with email, and then unless you feel like, oh, wait, this is a seismic change, we need to just make sure they're not gonna object to this path we're ending up on.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
We can't comment. Individually,
When we did,
but you could use not.
to each other, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that I send an email to the three of you or do it
Yeah,
one at a time?
response,
We're not allowed.
we can't communicate at all, we can.
But we can send things to you.
Okay, great. And again, it's not like we're gonna have a finished, I don't think our work is gonna be done unless you disband us. I think that it's really just trying to get a. I just think that
Great way to put
we'll
it.
try to have, we recognize that something could need to start in the fall, so.
People, balls and great time to meet, you have donuts, cider and apples and things like that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Gaye.
Thanks, Gaye.
Have a good evening.
you too.
A little bit sunshine, you have for another hour,
Yeah, I
almost.
think it's more than that even.
Oh, is this your bag over here?
Yeah, I'm thinking it was back there. Thank you.
Yeah.
And next,
Paula, I might be in touch with you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
next up, we have, Cody. Phillips, and he's going to talk about the new mission statement, which sounds very nice, actually.
I have it on my phone.
I was like,
Not 70 years old.
It could be raining and then the paper wouldn't make it here. So I walked here.
I want to start with apology. I missed your Monday meeting. I ended up having to drive to New Hampshire.
We've got another one in 2 weeks.
My
'Cause-
phone pinged, said,
Yeah.
"That meeting," and I went, as I was in the hospital with my mother, I was like, okay, I guess I'm not making that meeting. I
Yeah,
apologize.
we've got one on the 13th.
Of May.
Yeah.
Great.
We missed our meeting that was on the eclipse day, so we had to make up this Monday. And
Yeah. Oh, okay,
so we normally meet the second Monday of every month. So yeah,
But you're right. Why would you have a meeting when you have an eclipse?
yeah, the eclipse was at 2 o'clock, right? The meeting was at 8. Yeah, the meeting was after dark. But I was the only one who showed up, so.
Oh, man.
But yeah, we wanted to, as a committee, update our mission statement to better fit with, some of the work we're doing, as well as to better fit with our name, which is the Jericho Bicycle and Pedestrian Connectivity Committee. And if you guys haven't read our mission statement, I'm happy to read it out loud.
I think it's good to read it out loud, that
Okay.
way it actually put into the minutes.
So the Jericho Bicycle and Pedestrian Connectivity Committee serves as an advisory committee to the town of Jericho. JBPCC will maintain and create public trails and pathways, facilitate public outreach, education, and encourage non-motorized travel and recreation. JBPCC will advocate that these priorities be factored into development applications, town planning, policy, street design, and budgets. The committee works to support Jericho's vision to expand residents' alternatives to motorized transportation, ensuring that people with all abilities can travel and recreate safely throughout connected communities. The main reason was we felt like our previous name and mission statement was very focused on trails, which sounds like purely recreation, and what the town has asked us to do and what we are all interested in doing is trails as well, but also things like the Route 15 path and basically non-car opportunities to transport around. So that was what we went for, and we're hoping to get it approved so we can make it official.
You just need to vote.
I'll make a motion to approve the aforementioned mission statement for the Jericho Bicycle Pedestrian Connectivity.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Great.
So what would you think if the town got an electric bicycle?
I think it'd be great. I mean, as like as
It would actually, it's useful in terms of education. And people could check it out, they're interested, things like that. It's all, I would tell you, it's a different grant opportunity jet.
well, I work in the bicycle industry, so if the town is looking to do that, let me know, and I have connections, so we can help make it happen. And,
Oh, that's nice.
but I think it's great that, one thing about our town is we have some hills in it. And a lot of times people think, oh, if you had a path from here to there, I could never make it over this hill. And if you've ever ridden an e-bike, you can make it over any hill. Any person of any ability can go over any hill on one of those, and they're very safe and reasonable. So,
It is the hills in Vermont why I'm not more of a biker.
yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Anywhere I went, it was straight up that
Well,
hill.
that hill at Joe's is, I bike, and that hill at Joe's, is, I just, and being able to see it like right now, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'll be fine. But
Yeah, Barber Farm, like, I don't want to brag about whose hills were, but
that Barber Farm was brutal.
yeah.
That's right.
Stones Hill.
But,
Where-
Yeah.
Yeah, Rivers property. That's pretty.
Yeah, local motion used to have, where we had at one point tried to do lending libraries, e-bikes in
Yeah.
rural communities, but it never really got off the ground, and now they pulled everything back to Burlington, so.
Yeah.
So, but there's this one opportunity that Jet Force is looking into.
Cool.
One of our members suggested the e-bike be a good.
Yeah. I mean, if that's something you want our committee to look into,
Okay.
send it over, and we'll at least advise as much as we can.
That'd be good.
So, yeah.
Cody, is that, and I think we can talk more about this on the May 13th meeting, but I'm really interested in looking at what we can do to make our car roads more useful to bikes and walkers.
Yeah.
And I've done some, I wouldn't even call it research, but a little poking around and have some ideas. And the tension that I see, or that I imagine, or like worry about, is the need for fire trucks to get places. And so
Yeah.
they need 12 feet or whatever. And then you do that and you're basically making a freeway
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
And so I have some probably inappropriate ideas about ways to get around that with like rumble strips and stuff, but I don't think about it on the 13th, but I really
Yeah.
want to have the town do some thinking about how to make our town a space where we can, where we can bike and walk from place to place without having cars with it.
Yeah. I was just,
Like, poor Phil said, painted the stripes too wide, now it makes it really.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll give you two things before I go and let you guys get on with your thing. I was just out riding, and we came down the hill from the high school and with my friend, and we hopped on that little section of path between the high school and the town center. My friend's like, man, this is awesome. And I was like, imagine if this was everywhere in Jericho. People could ride bikes
Right.
around,
Right.
and the cars wouldn't be mad, and the bikes wouldn't be mad,
Yeah.
and we'd all be happy.
Yeah.
And so, that's the ultimate goal. But another thing, in looking at the state's recommendations for bike lanes and bike paths and stuff like that, one of the key things I noticed is that any road that has a 4-foot shoulder, you can get it classified. Well, anything that's 3 feet, a bicycle is allowed to use that shoulder. Anything 4 feet, you can petition to have it classified as a bike lane, and you can paint it as such and have signs, which, we still don't want bikes on Route 15. Ideally, you have a separate path, but as an intern, it's safer for the bikes. It shows the cars that the bikes are allowed to be there, and it shows the bikes that this is their space. They don't have to ride in the lane of travel. And, in looking at Route 15, it's already easily 3 feet, 4 feet in some places. And that could be as simple as just painting the lines, slightly differently.
So essentially, you're moving the road over this way, or you could put almost all your 4 feet on the one side.
Yeah, and right now we may have 4 feet on one side and 3 feet on another. So if we shrink it by 6 inches, we're good, things like that are worth.
In the 4 foot, do some painting in there. to
Yeah,
create a
that's-
different space.
That's
Not
what
just-
the town or the state guidelines say, that if you have 4 feet, you can then put the little bike, you can make it green if you want, you
50
can
feet or
put,
something.
yeah. And it's like probably the cheapest bicycle infrastructure you can possibly add, right? It's like $100 a mile of paint,
That's not bad.
which, like, when you consider repaving a road or the cost of a path, that's like pennies. So that's something that, yeah, we can talk about more and look into. Yeah.
Lots of people will think. I mean, it's really.
Yeah, when I was
Yeah.
there in front of town hall on town meeting day, in terms of thing in the rain, a lot of people were like, we need to walk. Like, why can't I walk? I need to walk. Where can I walk? Where can I bike? That was like, many people were saying that to me when they were, I was like, what do you want to hear? What do you want from the select board? That biking
Yeah.
and walking was a big response.
And then where
Yeah.
you wanna go, I mean, because that's why the trail, well, no longer trails, but they take trails, but they can connect it to other things.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that you can
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I live right here on Route 15, so I can take the sidewalk to the school, to the neighborhood, to the town forest, you know, to the high school if I wanted to, but not everyone can do that, and it's unfortunate.
Sabrina has a
There
question.
must have been 20, if not more, bikers on Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the Thursday night ride,
Yeah.
which I went to the start, but then I came here for this. So I didn't leave them all, but
It was so nice to see, I mean, they were all like, two abreast and
it
you're.
was a big effort last year because some cars got mad, so I had to ride around the group and yell at everyone, no, too wide. I know that's your friend, but you need to go to the back, you know, but
Question.
Yep. Sabina, go ahead.
I just wanted to offer, to send you guys the link to a webinar presentation that I attended, from Local Motion, which was specifically talking about options for rural towns on traffic calming, which I think is a little bit what Peter might be getting at. So I have the link to that, recording, and I can send that your way if that's something you're interested in watching.
I actually registered, that was a select board meeting night, but I registered for it so that I got the.
You got it already?
Yeah, and I got all the documentation that went along with it,
Oh,
and
good,
that's exactly what I was gonna talk about on May 13th, so
Oh,
I
good.
have all that.
Peter,
Okay,
could you-
super.
Select board too.
Yep, sure.
Could you do me a favor and send me an email about attending on the 13th?
Yep.
And I'll make your thing an agenda item so we have some time for it.
Yep.
But I think everyone on the committee would be really excited to talk about
Great,
things like that.
awesome.
Awesome, thank you, Sabina.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
All right. Next is more activity.
No, it's actually, it's Jacob.
Oh, it's Jacob, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Summer.
Sorry, Jacob, she's just on the,
It's sunshiny and fun, I know.
Come on, Jacob, come on.
Sorry, Jacob.
No problem.
It's nice. Oh, we're glad you took the time out of your day to come here.
Not a problem.
I did want to just share you many times last year.
And even more than that, I'm glad you took the job. We love having you here, we love having you on the roads.
So Jacob, I'll introduce you. This is one of our selectmen, Peter Booth, Catherine McMain,
Mhm.
and Eric Dawson.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yes.
Thank you for accepting the job. Start Monday.
Yes,
Yes.
Monday.
Excellent.
Did I tell you Monday is the summer hours?
I think you did.
Okay.
Tough way to start.
I know.
We're over in Bolton. I had them. We've started our summer hours early, so we've been on since the second week of September. We've been on our summer hours, just because
September.
or April. Sorry,
Okay.
I
It's like
apologize.
September.
My week's a little. But we did that so that way, just so we could,
Yeah.
with the weather
Sure.
starting to get nicer, we can get more work done, and
Right, yeah.
it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's true. The road crew actually did work obviously on Nashville Day too.
Yeah.
Because it really.
John. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I probably live in one of yours.
She lives off Nashville.
Off Bentley Lane, right?
Yeah.
If I remember
Yeah.
correctly, yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to most?
The differences, I guess, from where I've been, being the road commissioner, I was in a smaller town. Half the mileage,
Were you in Bolton?
yes. Yep, so the differences, not having a ski mountain is gonna be very nice. But with that, there's double the amount of road, so
Sure.
that makes up for that difference.
Yeah.
Just coming back, because I've been here before, and
I thought you did.
I like it. You get differences. You get like the rural, and then you get like some of the busier sections where it's always something different. It's not doing the same thing continuously all the time.
We had, well, a multiple of localized weather throughout the town.
Yeah.
yeah, one end could be rain, the other end could be snow and.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I can look at our local forecast and look what's happening down in the corners or over in Riverside, and there could be at least 5 degrees difference, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
this winter has been crazy. I don't know how many times I'd be, cause I live over in Huntington, so. I'd be over at home and it'd be raining or cloudy and then. I would go into work and it would be like 6 inches of snow up on top of the mountain. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything, and you're getting me started yet, right?
Monday.
Just in talking with Paul, interviewing and thinking about the job, is there anything that you feel like, wow, we really are gonna need to have a hard conversation about this dozer or the fact that guys don't have a truck, or just like, any sense, I mean, obviously the maintenance facility is a disaster right now, but is there anything else that stands out to you that sort of, that you're already thinking, oh god, that's gonna be a challenge? And it's fine to say like, I have no idea, I'm not that deep yet.
I mean, some of the bits and pieces I've heard, I just wanna, my ultimate priority is to make sure everything goes through me before it is done. You know what I mean? Like obviously if we need to get zip ties or something, yes, if you know we need it, get it. But whether like buying tires or anything like that, it needs to go through me before it gets approved and you say, okay, let's do it. I want to know everything that's going on before it happens.
Oh, that's very good.
That's good.
That really, that's how I've been, like, you come to me, and we'll figure it out, and then if it comes to a point with the budget or something like that, where a truck breaks down, I can come to you guys and say, hey, this is what's happened, X, Y, and Z. This is what it's gonna cost, or this is what we need to do.
Yeah. Excellent.
So since you've been in a similar role, you can answer this question. How can we, the select board, support you as the foreman? And obviously, you're probably gonna have a different answer in 5 months than 3 days before you start or whatever, but like, what are you looking for from the select board to help you do your job the best?
That's hard until I've been there. I guess just be supportive, you know what I mean? There are aspects that, are gonna be different and I might still be learning, slightly.
We have no patience.
And that's okay.
You're gonna get to know.
But, yeah, just that, I guess,
Yeah.
it's gonna take me a little bit to move in,
When you say supportive, like what would be a supportive role you would want them to take? Like, do you want them, what would be like a hypothetical scenario? Where do you want them to be coming or stopping into the highway department? Do you, our thing, well, I feel like for the town, previously it was like support, but where or how, what would lead that support to you best? So in that, again, could be a difficult question to answer now, but if you do think about it, what would best, how these guys could support you? What are your needs and what are you
Right.
wanting from them?
Typically, right now, it goes through the town administrator.
Yeah, well, I'll support you.
I guess
Which of course, right now is Paul.
don't be afraid to reach out, to me. If you see something out there or something, or maybe something I missed, you guys can always reach out to me. You guys can always stop at the shop. I've been, the way I've always described it in Bolton was I have nothing to hide. I have nothing, they had issues with former employees. So I'm an open book, whatever you guys need to know, whatever you guys want to see or have my input on, I'm very open about.
We're considering another staff person down the road. Would because we have a contract with an engineer that is, accessible to the road, for you guys. Because, that's your driveway cuts and your, paving bids and things like that for the engineers there to help. But we also are considering getting a part-time, looking into whether we need even a part-time or a, public works person. And, is that something that's helpful? In other towns, the road works with the public works people.
I would think so. That would be helpful. Again, there's so many aspects to, especially here.
Yeah, so we just get it on the job description and stuff, but it's another level of, support essentially for roads.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean that. Yeah, I think that could potentially be a helpful thing. Just the different aspects of, one day we could be painting lines, the next day we could just helping, know what's needed where,
Right.
Between
the engineer and public works, you've got, stormwater and everything else.
Yeah.
No, you got any questions for us?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, here's my real question. So sometimes I will wake up in the morning and I'll hear trucks go. I hear you guys out plowing and I'm like, did it snow last night? It must have snowed. This is a legit question. How do you know at 2 a.m. when, an unexpected storm came in, we have to get up and go plow?
What I've always done, just get up every day. For the most part, is what I've always done is just get up. You watch the weather. I mean, if you watch the weather and yeah,
Experience that, yeah, because that's part of the road, that's part of the personnel policy for the road crew, particularly the foreman.
What?
That he has.
Isn't there like a?
We have a
Stipend or
guy who
something?
checks roads in the morning, like they'll pay attention to the weather, they'll check their phones, like they'll get up.
Not tonight, but like in December, if it's
Like
like
2 o'clock,
rain, might be
right,
sleep.
2 o'clock in the morning, they'll like kind of wake up and say, oh, what's the weather? They'll look at their phone, and then
Yeah.
that person who has the stipend to go check the roads.
Call and says, hey, we got
Yep.
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I don't want that job.
Me neither.
I've over in Bolton, there was a lot of, with all the flooding this year, so there was a couple days, or one day I pulled like a 36-hour shift. Just keeping an eye on the roads and making sure everyone can get through where they need to go, and then go take a half-hour nap and then come back and, yeah,
it's horrible, thanks for flooding and just
Got
like,
slammed, yeah.
Yeah.
like Richard.
yeah, we had three this year.
We're lucky enough that flooding is
I
not.
know, it's like all around us.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Box State, you can't leave Jericho.
Yeah,
you're
for
flying.
sure.
And I can tell you FEMA is terrible to deal with.
Yeah.
It is the paperwork and the logging and the meetings I had
Mm.
for like the first 6 months. I had a meeting every other Wednesday at,
You really have to document everything you spend anything on.
Mhm.
Get it reimbursed.
yep.
And of course, it takes a long time to get reimbursed.
And I worked with like Pete over in Richmond because he's dealt with it, over the course of 20-something years of being a road foreman in Richmond. So he also helped.
Process.
Yeah,
You know that, you gotta make sure you do that.
yeah, and he kind of like, this is what I do. You can do it this way, or you can do it this way, and he's very helpful. And
Great.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for coming over.
not a problem.
Your evening, maybe there's even a creamy out there, I don't know.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you, guys.
See ya. Take
Have a
care.
good
Thanks
day.
so much. You too.
Now it's Catherine Curran.
So I'm basically here tonight to ask for permission for the library to use the town green for some of our summer reading events. So we have 6 kind of standalone events that we're asking for permission to use the green. One is our summer reading kickoff party. It's on June 29th.
For the school kids, the summer reading program.
Yes, and we're also expanding this year so that it's not just for kids. I think the primary audience will be children, but we're also going to open it up for teens and adults to participate
Oh, wow.
in summer reading as well. And so for the summer reading kickoff party, it will be targeted at multiple age ranges. What we're planning to do is have several booths, or what we're hoping to do is have several booths on the green and have like literacy games, some literary craft activities, but also have local-ish authors and illustrators come, and that they can interact with people, maybe sign books, and that every half hour we would have someone do a reading, either like a story time if they've done a picture book, or read a passage if they've done an adult book. And we've talked to people who've written both. So we have some people who are interested that are more focused on kids, and some who write like adult mysteries or even adult romance birding novels. Sounds really interesting. So
Wait, is that a book, adult romance birding?
yes, well, it's an adult romance novel that like a literary romance novel that has a strong birding component.
Like looking for birds?
Yes, yes.
Fascinating.
I haven't read it yet because I think,
Very niche.
yes, it comes out in the fall, but I'm very excited to read it. So yeah, we have some cool people who might be able to come if we're able to use the green. And then in July, we would like to tentatively schedule Touch a Truck for July 13th, and then the Pet Parade for July 27th. And that with a rain date in August, on August 10th for the Pet Parade. And then if possible, we'd also like to use the green on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. for community yoga, which is a program we've done the past 2 summers, but we did it monthly before. And now we're doing Saturday morning yoga weekly in the library right now, but with the weather changing, we'd love to have it outside if possible. And then these are also very tentative, but June 5th and June 26th, which are 2 Wednesdays, we'd love to reserve the green to have Emma Cook. She does music and movement sessions. She's done that for a couple of years in Jericho over the summer.
I have one question.
Yes.
When the first event you listed was the summer reading kickoff? Which
Yes.
was June 29th.
Yes.
We have an email which is now very old, April.
Yes. Sorry.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
But so that's on the 29th, and then is the Pride Palooza?
So that, yeah, so that's something that I'm hopefully going to be able to talk to the DEI committee on Monday. Sure, sorry, can I give you?
No, she had the same thing. The same thing I have.
Yeah, the dates that are on that email are old.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, perfect. That's what I was worried about. Okay,
Yes.
okay, so-
I should have made more than one
No, that's
copy.
fine, no.
Good. We can just have a
So
policy.
what happened to the Pride Palooza?
Still in works. So I'm talking to, I'm hoping to talk to the DEI committee. I just received an email that I haven't responded to yet, but I'm hoping to go to their meeting on Monday. And then talk with them about maybe a collaboration. And we've been, so Amy Place works as an assistant at the library, and she also works at the high school. So she's been talking to the Saga student group there to see if maybe they'd be interested in doing something together sometime in June. Yeah, but if that comes together, then I'll come back to ask for permission about a date for that.
Well, that brings up another question that I have, which is, and I like hearing about this, just because now I know what's going on, but this feels like a calendar item. That's why we have to have a vote saying, yes, you can use the town green.
Well,
Can't we
because
just
we got a
say?
town green policy.
That was what we passed when
I
I
thought
first.
I read that. I read that one for the meeting.
That one of the first policies.
So it's a green policy that to use the town green, you have to have select board.
No,
You don't necessarily, she has to go because we obviously, there's a fee to use the green.
Right.
We obviously, when she, because she's town,
Right, yeah, we say, great, that's our money, we'll give money to ourselves.
right, and so, but it's nice to know.
And you're right, though,
That feels like
for someone that's not a town entity, they have a form they can fill out
and give it to Paula, and Paul says, yep, great,
Right, they get to
whoever, town green, no one used it that day, great, no problem.
Yeah.
And it's like $25 or something.
Okay, I just,
No, we
I
just
like
like,
hearing about this, but you're like, wait a minute, why are the 3 people, elected officials who are saying, yes, you use town green for these
Well, it's just
hours?
fun to have that kind of power.
Jericho's power man.
I think there'd be a lot of people that'd be really unhappy if that way answered.
Are we gonna sign this or make an actual motion? Sign it, looks like.
Actually, I could sign it because
She signs it.
Yep.
Paula signs it.
Okay.
Yeah, we just make a motion that we're okay with it.
Yeah.
That's all.
So I'll make a motion to approve the requested times for the Jericho Green for the the Jericho Town Library.
Thank you so much.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you
excited.
very much.
Yeah.
Great.
Can I email it to you also?
Yeah, definitely. And Paula, some of the dates changed a little bit since my
No
last
worries,
email.
no worries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you learned anything difficult or challenges around the Pride event,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know, that IT at CBU and Peter Langella is our principal, is our librarian.
Oh,
The
cool.
librarian is also very active around GSA stuff,
Mhm.
GSA group, and so if you run into need something, let me know, I'm sure you'd be thrilled to help out anyone.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And sorry, what is the PSA?
Great Gay Trade Alliance, or high schools Gay Trade Alliance.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, and that's because different people were using the green, and we wanted to have, and some, we're
You
not.
can't just, no one can walk up and put up a tent and do whatever they're gonna
Right, and
do, which makes total
sometimes,
sense.
and things were getting, not cleaned up.
Yeah.
And so we had the meeting.
Thank you
I
so
said,
much.
that's
I hope that's
things
good.
together. But that's great, that's great.
I'd stick it in the freezer when you get
Memorial
home.
Day parade with Alan Morris.
Good evening. I sat in this seat many nights in my Jericho Road Commissioner days.
I recognize the name for many, many years, but I don't think I was on the board then, but I was on the DRB then.
Should have been answering all the questions.
Yeah.
Some reason it doesn't feel quite so hard on it tonight. I'm sorry,
What time period were you road commissioner?
98 to 2004, and I don't believe anybody's outlasted my record since.
I don't think so, I think you were there a long time.
A few before me did, but not since.
Yeah.
I'm here regarding Memorial Day Parade. Again, this year it'll be in Riverside in the Flats. And we congregate at the Browns River Middle School, parade up River Road to Park Street, down Park Street to the park in front of Methodist Church there in the Flats. So another fellow and I are helping Richard Becker, this is the second year we've helped him. He's coordinated that on his own for many years. And so to keep off from Route 15, because there's been a lot of pushback from the state about closing Route 15, we have opted to continue to have this two-town parade and keep off from Route 15. So I'm looking for permission to close River Road from the intersection of Route 15 to the intersection of Park Street in Jericho, and a little section of Park Street beside the park, which is also in Jericho. We have signage out there. We will put signage out there prior to the parade week to let mostly the people from Underhill Center know that something's going to happen. And at the time of the parade, the fire department will have road closure signs in those 4 locations, 2 at the church on either side of the park, down at Route 15 and at River Road at Park Street. They will also have their road guards there to enforce that. Once the parade has left Browns River and has made the turn onto Park Street, that section of River Road will then reopen, which I would say would probably be no more than an hour. And then this closure will close Park Street, and only Park Street will be closed off. So it's Monday, the 27th, at 11 o'clock. And So I'm
How
here,
long do you think all the roads will be closed? You know, we can just use the whole time frame then.
I'm sorry, I can't hear
I
you.
was gonna say, how long do you think the whole, all the roads will need to be closed?
Certainly no more than now on River Road, but Park Street and around the park, probably for a couple hours because everybody, the fire department and the Essex Rescue and the sheriff's department, they park right in the street at the end of the parade.
Oh, okay.
And then people stand in the street to listen to the speaker. What will also happen is the parade, once it gets to the park, so there won't be any jam up, will go down the driveway of the church. And then those that want to stop and stay can park out behind the church. Those that want to continue on and go home can go back out onto Park Street. So I guess I didn't answer your question, that
It's a couple hours that you're thinking. anyway.
couple hours
Yeah.
easily.
Like the main one that the.
All our section, the Jericho portion is just River Road.
And
No,
Park Street is
Park Street is,
A little bit of it is Jericho. It's weird.
are you sure?
Yep.
I know that road, I know that line pretty well, because we're looking at the property there. But you're positive that a piece of Park Street.
A little bit of Park Street is in Jericho, yeah.
The road part of Park Street, not the sidewalk, the road part of Park Street.
Yeah, there's a little part, just a little part, because there was a culvert
Mhm.
thing.
Look at it.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to close, to allow the closure of River Road from Route 15 to Park Street and the Jericho portion of Park Street. For 2 hours on Monday, May 27th.
Yep.
Starting at 11,
Yeah,
and from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
is really, the fire department stands by and they don't close the road until the parade actually is ready to step off. So it's not like it's a
Done that whole time.
dead time waiting to close.
A second that.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Well, thank you for,
Thank you.
take that on.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Take care.
Do you want to be on 15? What, is the state bossing us around? Like, why can't we use 15? They just make it too difficult? Again, the state, why are they don't like us on 15?
Yeah, that's been too much pushback of state traffic.
Interesting, because they let Richmond close Route 2, which is also a state road.
I'm sure they have to fight to get that done, but. Cause it was always a long period of time, you know, 1 year we'd meet at the bank.
Right. Odd number.
Go back and forth, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Meet at Clark Truck Center and march up there, so it was quite a long time that the road was closed, plus traffic is always.
And then every year there's a scramble, every year in my house, at least, there was a scramble to figure out. Where's the rate this year? I had a note in my, I'm gonna note my calendar saying odd number of years, we're here, even number of years, we're here.
I think this works out well
Yeah.
for both because it does incorporate Jericho and Arundel at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
That is great. Well, thank you very much.
much for your work.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, next is the review and consider approval of one state police contract. It didn't go up as much as it has, and it kept us at 8 hours.
Yeah, 35 hours per month. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 8 hours, 8 hours a week.
so normally this is pretty complimentary, but, as I was looking at it. Do we, like, I guess, how often do we actually get the 8 hours? I know it's as available, but do we have data that, like, yes, we generally get it, or no, we generally don't?
Yeah, they'll submit a, activity report.
Do you know roughly off the top of your head at all?
No, I could go pull one.
Is
If
it
you wanted me
an
to.
annual report or a
No,
monthly or
it's monthly.
Monthly.
And then the next question is, do we have the option to increase the sheriff by the same amount?
And we discussed this at the budget time. We were thinking about just going with one versus the other. having both, but,
Because here's what I'm thinking, and I know we just barely, I wish I would have thought of this, when we, I think it was the last meeting or meeting before that we just approved the.
sheriffs, yeah.
Why don't we just go to 48 hours with sheriff and not use the state police anymore, because. One, they rarely have time for us, two, they're more expensive.
Do you want me to give a shout to them, send an email out to them and we can see?
I don't know how my people do that, but.
Well, sometimes, the only reason, I mean, I also thought about that, but sometimes the state police are available at odder times than the sheriff is. And you can see them more often in the evening, because they do it, the officer is there when it's their overtime.
So that would you be okay if you still ask them?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
then include that in there, like, you know.
Because I have seen the police, the state police in very different times, but.
Yeah.
But the key is, even though their rate is higher, you only pay the rate when they're there.
Right, so it may actually not change the budget much, but. I don't love the 8 hours as available, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
And they really struggle, there's no question. about it.
yeah, it's nothing against the state police, but it just, if the other company was cheaper and, it might end up being why, we end up with more coverage.
Right,
You know, and more reliable coverage.
Right, you might get 10 hours instead.
Yeah.
For the same price.
Mhm.
Anyway, so
Okay.
would you be okay with, or do we have to
Like
like do this
tabling
right
this?
now?
We can table it because it doesn't start until July. anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like, if you get the rest of you are okay with that, I'd like to explore that a little bit.
Okay.
Moving on, we got liquor licenses and so we have a new one. We've invited you here, John.
You here.
He's here.
You here.
Yeah, we've invited him here, John. Yeah, just to talk about. We, we just wanted to hear about your interest now in Spiritus Liquors is what the application has to be.
Yeah, well, I don't really see it as much of a change. Like I just brought this in as an example. Here's something that I'm allowed to sell: vodka mule, passion fruit. It's 12%.
Oh,
It's a mixture.
You're allowed to.
Yeah, this is beer and wine.
You can.
This is beer and wine. So I have Dole Whips or dairy free coming out of the creaming machine. I can put triple second tequila in there and make a margarita.
Oh, really?
It's the same as like things that drink here.
They're starting to blend those lines, aren't they?
No.
Like the beer and.
That's what I said before I came here. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the line's so blended. It's like I made a couple of them and they turned out good, and we gauged interest on Facebook and we got like 800 likes. So
It's always nice to see.
then people started coming to the window and asking, and I was like, Taylor jumped the gun. We took that down. We just wanted to see, if that was something that some people might want, and seems good, but it's kind of like the same as these, but we just need to get the license so I can put the tequila in and I'm not trying to like start a giant bar, but like it might be like one drink here or there are like two special drinks or something on the menu that people can enjoy.
Yeah, I'm sure Bud's Light in the summer might sound good.
Yeah, I mean, you can put like
Margarita
Bailey's,
machine.
you can put Bailey's in well, it's kind of, so the Dole Whips, I don't know if you've ever had those.
No.
They're a dairy-free ice cream. I think Palmer sometimes does them too, but we're doing them for years. There's like pineapple, limes, I'm sorry about that. Like I'm running a pineapple tomorrow, and it's Cinco de Mayo, so, if I had it, I could pump out the pineapple into a cup, and then it's like a frozen Dole stuff, and then you make some frozen margaritas, so. Yeah, they turn out pretty good. I just need the license basically, and I wouldn't be running like, like I already have the hours and stuff, but I don't ever go
Mm,
like earlier or later.
mm,
I'm usually kind of in the middle. I
right,
think it's from 11 to 10, but I'm like open from 12 to 8.
yeah,
Yeah, and you're still following the same, you know, you got your spacing the same. for-
Everything's the same, just to get that one extra little piece in there. I mean, it's fine, you can basically buy margaritas, but they come mixed up.
Mm.
Like, these things are great, but, I mean, this is 12%, so it's just as strong as it could ever be. I'm actually surprised they can get them that high, but you can get rum and cokes and stuff if I wanted, but
Wow.
I just want to get the Dole whips to be able to make it myself, so.
Yeah, because then you have
That's it.
flexibility, but you make it.
But the license would give you.
options to do
all
that.
Yeah, I could do whatever I wanted, but I don't really have the space.
Mm,
Yeah.
But I have the space to do maybe like 2 or 3 drinks and just keep it
Oh,
like that.
the inside space to mix them in.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of space in there. I'm kind of limited on stuff.
Well,
But,
you know, in your area, I mean, that makes sense, just to have a couple very specialty drinks, because you can't be running around trying to make all kinds of different cocktails and doing froth.
Yeah, this usually helps. Like, we'll probably carry a lot of these.
yeah,
That's what we've been doing now, during music nights. I did get a draft cooler and dispenser, and we put it out front for music nights, and we're pouring drafts, but only on music nights. Then we carried a bunch of these, but like if I had that and then maybe like a frozen margarita or something. So we've been tossing that idea around, and I was like, well, the only way to do that is get a 3rd class license, so.
Right.
Apply for it, I guess. See how it goes.
Yes.
What?
Any concerns for you on this one?
No, you put I think you submitted a second application for a first class license as well.
That might have been like a draft form that I clicked on, because when you first asked me if I had done it, I went on there and it wasn't in draft, it wasn't allowing me to do anything or like pay or anything. I think you had to like kick it back, so I tried to start another one or something.
Okay,
Or-
so another one was started,
Just-
so I could just delete that.
Yeah, delete that one, yeah. Cause in the spring, when you asked me, I was like, well, I don't know, like, do I have to, like, it wouldn't let me do anything to it, cause I think it was here, it's just gonna be kicked back or something. I called them up and then
Yeah, they
They did
walked me through
something.
it.
and they did something, and then I was able to go through it and finish with the one that we have. So,
Great.
Yeah, so there's no payment due to the town, it's a payment to the
to
state.
the state, right?
I'll make a motion to approve the 3rd class restaurant bar license for Kate's Food Truck.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time and going in.
And I have one question, John, just while you're here,
Sure.
which is.
can we have one of those whips now?
Yeah.
You should have let us touch
Well, I
them.
have pineapple and mango. I mean, I have to get the payment to them, so. I don't know if I'd be able to get it done by the weekend. That'd be my
It's
next.
just when the form came to us for the outside consumption permit,
Yeah,
whatever, 2 weeks ago or whatever it was.
right, yeah.
It was a little unclear what the spaces were, and
Oh, I should have just copied it from the year before, but I just did it off from memory.
okay,
It's
my
just-
question and this is my stupidity or I'm not in the industry.
It's fine.
Do you need to, when you have outside consumption, like at Jericho LB, they've got like those kind of pallet walls up, do you need to define a space, like you can drink here,
Yeah,
but if you step over here, you can't be over
Yeah.
here, so
Yeah.
you need to define that, and your customers need to have like signage to say like, oh, you can listen to music, but don't walk over this way with it.
right, yeah. So on the parking lot, we have concrete blocks where it says
Yeah.
no alcohol beyond this point, and then T-posts that go all the way around. We removed last.
Tonight, is it those colored little?
No, so last year when it was raining a lot, we had to put the big tent up.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Right, so we put a big giant tent up. We took the T-posts out, and then we put the signs up on the inside of the tent. So it kind of,
Where are T-posts?
they're just like
Yeah.
stakes that you buy from Home Depot.
Green
Just
thing.
like
Oh, yes.
poles or
Yes.
stakes. Yeah, we had signs on those, but when we put the tent up, we took those out because they're in the way. And then we put the signs on the inside of the tent, so I still have some up, but I gotta put more back up.
You'll
in
have
the area.
space saying like, this is the.
Oh, yeah.
boundary.
Yeah, otherwise it's not illegal, but
Right.
like the basic spot is the flat ground. Like I don't really want anybody going up near the road or like up on the hillside.
Yeah.
Or down on the other, I'll call it the other lot, even though it's still the same lot, but where all the dirt is.
Yeah.
Like ours is kind of defined, that's gonna be the defined spot, right? So. I don't really want anybody going anywhere else anyway.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, stay close and get some more or whatever. For some tacos, we're doing tacos for the next 3 weeks, so. For Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, no.
But then we'll go back to the burgers and fried chicken stuff, so.
Oh, great.
Great, thank you very much.
Good, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
So I'd like to make a
I'll
motion,
get over tonight and then you might be able to even pay to it.
Okay. Yeah.
so we have to approve the hotel license also, right?
Oh, great.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve Grateful Ventures LLC DBA Sinclair Inn Bed and Breakfast. Hotel license.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
And now, it's
Yeah, there's also,
that one.
that's a catering license.
Yeah, that one.
this isn't cursing. Oh, here?
It's, you know,
It's a catering license.
catering license that just came in. For the Mansfield Barn.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve, Griffin Riders to cater May 25th at the Mansfield Barn.
Got it?
Mhm.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And now, select board updates. You want to start, Paula, or?
That's a quick question before we do that.
Sure.
My ongoing campaign to try to tighten up our meetings. I asked Jessica today about if we have to be doing the liquor licenses and the catering things at our meetings over and over. And she said, basically, yes, except for maybe the catering.
Well, so the select board is the local board of liquor control.
Yep.
But in other towns that have a police department for the catering license, the select board authorizes the police department, so the town clerk runs the applications by the police department to get the approval. And what we're doing as a shortcut right now is if an untimely application, catering application comes in, Catherine approves it as the chair.
Yeah, I kind of raised a stake a couple years ago that we were getting them with no amount of time, sometimes even after and so.
Okay.
So we came up with that sort of like, okay, in those cases, we can do
And then,
that.
Okay.
and then after the fact, we
Beautiful.
approve, this is the rules to have.
Okay.
And I'll send an email to Grant. A lot of the catering licenses go to Mansfield Barn,
Right.
Yep.
and he basically has 2 caterers that are authorized to do the weddings, and so I'll send an email to him to see if he can remind those caterers, if they can give it to us as a group,
Just boom.
get them all
A lot
done.
of times we do, Eric will
Yeah.
give you off a whole bunch of dates.
Okay.
That was
You
surprising.
will have one for a bunch of them in the summer, and then you might get a couple stragglers where you're like.
Yeah, so you've been through the worst of it, and this was actually more drawn out this year because of, partly, I think it's using the
Online form.
Yeah, I was
Online
surprised to
form.
see there was only one for May. You know, the one you just brought in, for catering. We had 2 in April.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. I think
All
that's
right, thanks.
Thank you, Jess.
already. Oh, boy.
Okay. What do you got for select board update?
Oh, so, we had the first wastewater feasibility public meeting for Jericho Center last night. That seemed to go well. We had a good turnout, I think. Around 18 people in person and then 15 on Zoom.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think it went well. And our next one is coming up May 9th, which will be the Jericho Corners wastewater feasibility study, which will be here at the town office. And then May 15th will be the Riverside and Commercial District study. And we're thinking, I believe Linda spoke with Susan today she's been posting on Front Porch Forum about the upcoming meetings.
Susan, you mean? Yeah.
Susan Proceed, yeah. Yeah, and did I say so?
No, you just, I just was.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, and so our thought was the Riverside one is probably gonna be the biggest.
Oh, that's
So we're thinking if we publicize having people join Zoom, this room is only so big, so we'd like to fill the room, but we'd also like to promote Zoom if they can.
As an option.
Yeah. So that is that, and then, the other thing is, we'll have to discuss about the RFP for the maintenance facility, because we only got one, and need to see if you wanna, like, put the ad back out there again, or if you wanna just go with the one that we got.
My feeling, since it's our largest bond enrollment, our second bond out there, I think we really should have another go around. Even though it may take a little, even though it takes a little extra time to do a second advertising, rather than just one application, particularly when it's the person who did the initial study.
That's the application is.
Yeah. So you really want to have a little more, transparency for the public. I did talk to Charles Baker, not Charlie, last night. I guess it was Tuesday, actually. And the RPC doesn't, they do provide project management, but it's typically for roads or sidewalks or things like that. But he did say, because they have their long list of preferred providers for engineering as well as contractors, that if we wish to go ahead and repost it, he will push it through to his contacts if we like as well.
Yeah, we think that we'll get, I think we should repost it if we think that it will get more responses. I mean, did people see it and say, I don't want to deal with that, or did we not get it out well enough? You know what I mean? Like,
It's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I
But
haven't,
remember, it came out funky, and it was only a couple weeks that they had, were given and.
I'm a little skeptical that we'll get more, but I do think that we're already under some level of attack over whatever, the whole thing, so I think it's probably worth, I just hope it doesn't delay the project. But.
So I do have,
I don't think
well, it
so.
will.
it will, because I had gotten a response back from Matt, because he had asked about if we got an RFPs, and I said, we've gotten just one, his. And he said the concern would be, it may not result in another outcome, putting this out there, but he said if he was on board this month, the design RFP wouldn't go out until June. Selection of the design team wouldn't be made until early July or late June at best. So design would not begin until July. That really pushes it for a February 25 bid date for permitting involved also. I don't really know what.
Yeah, I can see it.
So you're basically saying, this is the person who put the bid in?
Yeah.
He's saying, even if you disapprove my bid, I'm not gonna have things rolling until July 1 anyway.
No, he's saying if we go put it back out there to bid for another RFP, it's gonna slow it down.
It will slow it down, I understand. But at the same time, even if he's only the second, if he's only the second bidder, only bidder the second time around, at least you can explain to the public that you have tried to really do due diligence when you're talking about $4.5 million.
Is there, this might sound like criticism, but it's not, and I'd be criticizing myself, I guess. Is there a reason we didn't put it out to people like the RPC, the connections that you just talked about the first time?
I don't think people know about that. Until I asked Charlie.
Great. Okay, I think we should put it back out second time. I agree that, I think that's asking for trouble to say we got 1 million about it. Whatever,
Let's get it out there, let's get it broadcasted quickly and then have it,
Okay,
and
And farm wide,
if we're
like,
not getting much, I mean, I know.
If you put it on the contractors,
we did all of that. The Vermont contractors or the Vermont biz
bid board,
I talked to Matt because I couldn't get into it. It wouldn't, I registered and everything, but it wouldn't let me involve in it. So, he was gonna put that out there to that, but I put it out to VLCT, to 7 days, all of that.
yeah, follow through with that and then send it to Charles Baker. Do you have his email address?
Yeah.
Send it to him. And then he said he would push it out to people, their groups too. Just that way it gets out there, even if they get, well, so it's in front of their eyes.
And this, do
Some of
you
these
want it
guys
to
might
run,
not
it's a
even look at
2-week thing. Do you want it 2 weeks or do you want it more?
I don't know, but how long?
Yes, if you can if we can get the advertisement heavy, the notification heavy, then I don't want more than 2 weeks.
Right.
You don't wanna be like,
Right.
we're not getting any in the first
Right,
3.
right,
We said we
right,
opened it For 5, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think 2 weeks is good, as long
Okay.
as like before that, it's
really,
it's out there. It's out
everywhere,
there, yeah.
everybody you possibly can put it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I will do that.
Great. Great.
Okay.
Do you have any other?
No?
Okay, I'll give you a couple, if you can see, art has changed. The Farms and Fields has been replaced by an exhibit from Jessica, on the historic homes of Jericho for the month of May. And so, she's put this up, and then Town Hall Art will return in June with the theme of bridges.
I was supposed to get my picture of
That's
I
right.
can send a picture of my house in flames. That was a historic moment, right? My house to the ground.
Yeah.
The house that you're living in now?
Yeah, right to the ground.
No.
We left town, came back, house was gone.
Years ago. Oh my gosh,
2001.
that was a big deal.
And I got pictures from the fire department. It is,
Wow.
unbelievable. It's just.
Oh,
That's fine.
man.
You'll laugh about it now, we're on my knees climbing the driveway.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
mean,
gosh, I can't imagine.
There's nothing left. I mean, that's the worst possible thing that you can think of.
Wow.
And this goes to what I was asking about. The Jet Force is considering at its meeting on May 20th, whether to apply for a grant on its own. And that's the municipal energy, replacement thing. And it's a $4,000 grant, or can be, but these are non-competitive mini grants.
I read that. I just read that today. I saw an email. It's the mini grants or called
Yeah,
mini
What is
something.
Jet Force?
Jericho Energy Task Force.
I know that, I know the J, I know the Jet Force, yeah. Like, your badges and like. Jet Force assemble.
I'm strapped into the pilots. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now I can focus.
Anyway, they can be used for energy committees to host events for community energy resilience, which could allow us to better fund our winter roaming lecture series, because right now we're limited to, we plead poverty, so we don't have to pay for them as much as possible. But then I also asked for petty cash from the town and snacks and stuff, but there's a couple real current movies that cost a couple $100, and yet we don't have the time for that. But the other thing is, we have the winter movie lecture series. There's been thoughts, the people both working with Underhill as well as maybe Richmond. There's been a discussion because one of the leaders of window dressers, which has come from the Upper Valley, but it's across the country, the window dressers program, and that's also weather energy resilience, because what you do is essentially for very old homes that only have single pane glasses, you actually build wooden frames and turn it into storm windows for them. And that costs money. The window dressers will help you with the process and, you know, it's a community building event, things like that. But you have to provide your own materials. So the MERC could do that. But the other thing is, one of our members had said, why not purchase an e-bike so that we can use them for demonstrations, or people could be checked out by community members who are interested in purchasing an e-bike and they can try it out. So that's where that came from.
Cool. Is that grant, is that a 500,000, like they said they had 500,000?
No, that's the MERC is for that's the kind that the library would get.
Okay, okay.
I mean, but it's unlikely, as they said, it's unlikely that Chittenden County will actually get any of those major grants because it's really focusing on the smaller communities. But we keep thinking, because it is a historic building, it has more of a shot than a lot of Chittenden County does. Like, you know, they wouldn't give us money to redo this building or anything like that. I mean, fortunately, we did energy efficiency when we built it, but we renovated it. A lot of towns in Chittenden County do not qualify. They've already told us that. But the MERP is non-competitive. It's really about education, it's about resilience, things like that. So we thought we're going to talk about it, our meeting, the third Monday of the month, which is May 20th, and see if, you know, people want to go through with this. But these are ideas that were thrown out, and if people want to go through with it, then we'll go ahead and apply. But in fact, this will have to come to the select board to say, yes, I'd like to apply. But, so you want to talk about your webinar that you went to? That actually qualifies as an update from the select board.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. So it was local, I think it was local motion, they put a thing on Front Porch Forum about walkable, bikeable, making rural communities more walkable and bikeable. It was one of our meeting nights, so I couldn't go, so I asked for them to send me all the information about it, you know, all the final recording and all the documents that went along with it, which they did, and I've got, I have a whole host of resources, webinar slides, all the previous webinars about this, Walk Bike Vermont Google group, and then a bunch of supporting data and theory all around the specific topic of traffic calming. Which is something that I am really interested in. I don't know who I asked. I might have been Jericho, might have been the fire department. As I said, when Cody was here, I see intention to two things about that Matt is, I don't know if upset is the word, but concerned about the size of roads being wide enough that he can get in and out of spaces and maintain safety. That up against, to my mind, the desire to have spaces that it's not his car whipping by wide open, huge highways. And so I reached out to Matt or the fire department said, hey, I'm coming in touch with Matt, and someone give me his contact. He emailed me back and he sent me the road specs, which I think were like the fire department road specs, like what they want. I think was less what it has to be, but more what they want it to be. If that makes sense. And I haven't talked to him since then because I didn't want to waste his time with sort of theoretical conversation. I wanted to have some kind of concrete questions for him about, would this work? Would that work? And my big brainstorm, which is literally me, like just flying a bit thinking about stuff, is to, I can think about Raceway, because everyone covered, that's sort of the last piece of that pathway work that the planning commission is working on. My vision is that you pave Raceway, and I'm glossing over all the money and costs and all the.
That's a real plus.
Right. So you pave Raceway. What about that? But then, let's say Raceway is a total of, I have absolutely no idea, I'm gonna call it 20 feet wide. Let's call it 20 feet wide.
Right.
The right 5 feet, you make it, maybe scarify it.
Right.
The left 5 feet, you scarify that. So that people can walk on it, but they can't bike on it, that might be a problem. But that's a space that's uncomfortable to drive your car on, but you can drive your car on. So you can drive down the middle, which most people do, and then when you meet somebody on the road coming toward you as a car, you need to pull onto the kind of crappy part of the road so that you can get around each other. But it's only wide enough really for one car the majority of the time, but you can make it wide enough for two when you need to. Another point idea is the same idea, but instead of having it scarified, you've got like I'm making up right now on the spot, a 2-inch curb that you have to drive over to get into the bike lane when you approach somebody. So you can't pass each other. You have to go into the bike lane to pass each other. But getting into the bike lane requires you to go over a little bump, which is kind of inconvenient, which keeps everybody away from the bike path, except when they have to be. So,
but aren't there small roads in Burlington, places like that too, where they have the one lane and then you got the, the bike. Stickers essentially.
but it's what Cody was talking about, and maybe that, my vision is that I don't see why, and I was thinking about 15, why don't, as a driver, wouldn't I just ignore that? If I wanna go faster, if the 4-foot wide space he's talking about is pushing me too close to the yellow line, I'm not comfortable, I feel like I have to slow down, which is the point. I'm just gonna say, it doesn't feel safe, I'm gonna go into the bike lane and we're gonna wear down that bike lane section over time, because there aren't enough bikes or walkers on Route 15 we're just gonna realize, oh, that's stupid, they painted it, that was silly, we're just driving over it.
That's why I was thinking of, push, you put the bike lane on one side and you move the road, if particularly you have wider, shoulders that he's talking about, you have a smaller shoulder on this side. But you still have your same width of your travel way, but now then you have a wider shoulder here.
Sabina
It's
has,
common to walk and ride a bike, just use 15, it's probably a bad example because it's so busy, but let's just say that it became, we fast forward 5 years and it's common for kids to be walking from Packard to JES and biking in the bike lane on 15 because it's so wide and it's clearly marked and it's very safe and et cetera, then I feel like people will respect that. But in the interim between now, no one, except for basically adults who are willing to make bad choices, no one rides or walks on 15.
Right.
So any kind of painting we do and stuff, I feel like just gonna be like, oh yeah, nice try, Jericho. Well, people are just gonna keep blowing through it because there aren't bodies there.
Rumble strip on that.
Right, and that's why you rumble strip, like, oh, it's not, I don't wanna drive across that little bump because it makes my ride less smooth. I wanna stay in the area I wanna
So
be.
you still can do the same thing, you just have your rumble strip and then you're.
And then the bike path, right. So
Sabina has a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sabina.
Hey, sorry, not really a question, just tagging on to what Peter is talking about. That those kind of road treatments for traffic calming, that's called an advisory lane. And right now, everything I know about it is that the Federal Highway Association, or whatever they call themselves, whatever government acronym that is, they are only considering those as experimental in the United States right now. And so there are very few places that have those installed, and Burlington actually does have an advisory lane near the entrance to Red Rocks Park. And that was one of the pilot study types, I think. So I think a lot of people are interested in getting the advisory lanes to have more prominence, but it's sort of on, I don't want to say a back burner, but it's like in terms of getting that approved, we might have more difficulty because it's considered experimental at this point. But that being said, in Europe, they're really common, and it's something that's used a lot over there. So it's not experimental in the grand scheme of things. It's just that the United States is a little slow on the uptake for that right now. So, but I agree with you, Peter, that that type of traffic calming, I think is very appealing. And that's how I drive on Plains Road all the time. I drive in the middle and then when I see somebody, I move over. You know, it's just, you have to drive that way on Plains Road because of all the craters and stuff, but, and because of the pedestrians as well. So it's sort of, I think a lot of us do it as a default. We don't know that it has a name and that it, you know, that it's a real thing, but, yeah, anyway, I just wanted to add that, little bit of information. Hopefully that's useful.
So Sabina, so that would be an issue if we were talking about 15 where the state of Vermont's involved, but if it was whatever, if it was, we paved Nashville Road, that would be our decision.
Right, or even Brown Street.
Or right, anything but 15 would be our decision, but you're
Right.
saying. Sabina, you're saying
Yeah, I
Sabina-
hear you. I hear you. I just, there's, yeah, we could do whatever we want, but, and so, yeah, so maybe it's worth exploring more. And I just wanted to let you know that, through my work with, the walk-in college that I did last year, as part of my planning commission stuff. I don't know if you guys know that I did this, but, I think you do. I did a 6-month training course with AARP and America Walks. And they called it the Vermont Walking College. And the premise was to, over the 6-month period, just develop, get information on being an advocate for bicycle and pedestrian, stuff in your town. So, I graduated from that program in September. So I know a little bit more than the average person, but there's a lot that I don't know. So I'm somewhere in the middle. But because of that connection, I have sort of an ongoing dialogue with AARP, and who is always interested in doing improvements in towns, and they have grants and things like that. And then also with Local Motion, I have had conversations with Jonathan Weber and his cohorts there, about Jericho specifically. So I think it would be great now that the bicycle and pedestrian connectivity committee is sort of really up and running, to maybe get Local Motion and or AARP to come and speak with us about, you know, what they think we can do in Jericho and how they can help us.
Sounds great to me. Thank you, Sabina.
Thank you.
One thing that I feel bad, so I haven't brought it up until now, but my mom suggested. My uncle had a farm out in like Potsdam kind of area. And the back roads there, a lot of them were paved by, assuming New York City money or funding, or there's no population there at all, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
But the way they did it was one side of the road, like nothing fancy, one side of the road, the white line was like on the edge, like edge of the pavement here, the white line.
Like 2 inches off.
And then the other side had, so like you basically just took the same road width, probably even narrower than, certainly they were narrower than like Bartle Farm and, you know, Brown Street or whatever. And you just shifted it. We didn't do anything else, no other fanciness, just literally just that, but like you just push everybody to one side.
Pile all
Right,
the water
exactly.
and
That's
bikers to one side.
basically what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
and I do think, I guess I'm not 100% with Peter on, I think people do respect the lines a little bit more than you give them credit for, especially now with the cars, right? Like the cars kind of make you do it.
What do you mean? Oh, with the modern cars, like.
Yeah. But I also agree with Sabina, like, so I was just in the UK this last week and, you know, being on the select board or whatever, like, oh, I got to drive, I drove in the UK. But it's not really as hard as you think. It was fine.
can barely walk.
Yeah.
Where to look, when you're crossing the street.
That's actually harder,
Yeah.
because you know, the steering wheel is the cue that's on the other side of the
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
right? You're like, oh, yeah, you look this way and
Yes.
you head on over. But they do so much better at traffic calming because they don't, like, the car will be parked, like, right here, like, here's your lane, you're in the center line, there'll be a car parked here, so like, all of a sudden, you come into a town and you're just.
You can't go across the
It
lane.
doesn't necessarily help with bikers and walkers necessarily, or saying, the town I was in had plenty of sidewalks, whatever, but they have so many, like, these little, they just have so many traffic calming things, I couldn't even remember them all, but like, there'll be like a little spot for a crosswalk. And it's not really even a crosswalk, but there's like this little island in the middle.
Right,
Yeah.
So that you can cross one side of the road, but not go the whole way across.
Right.
And
It's
so-
called like a pedestrian refuge or something.
yeah, so like a little circle like this, and that would slow you down a little bit, you know, they have so
they have
many
these little
different.
bump outs alongside the roads too.
Yeah.
I mean,
They do have those, yeah,
in Scotland in particular, the road is, you got one lane and then you got these pull-outs. And so if you got the car coming, you better, you have to decide which car is going to be closer to a pull-out.
yeah.
Otherwise,
And the-
that's it.
And the car I was driving, of course, had that lane thing on all the time and never took it off. It was kind of handy. And so like, they did sort of help, like, you know, they were like, oh, it would kind of correct you, but drifting off to the left too far or whatever. So-
And that, all those things are in, this is the slideshow from that webinar that I didn't go to, but I had the video for.
Yeah.
And it's all those things, they have like speed limit is a little bit helpful, feedback signs, and then center line removal, streetscape landscaping, edge light, this is what I was talking about, like you can only drive
Yes.
single lane, but it's two directions, you have to
Yeah.
pull into the side to. You know,
I
they
think-
have all these ideas.
Yeah.
Cool.
My only going close to painting things is only my memory of when they painted Brown's Trace, and I felt like within a year, those lines were gone. Cause I've like crouched it a whole bunch, and I felt like, oh, we're gonna have bigger space now, we're gonna get protected, and then I was like, oh, well, that just got washed away so fast.
Yeah, it is,
That's true.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, great. Do you have, any updates or anything?
That was one of the updates I wanted to share, is just like all the different traffic calming options. I didn't go to that seminar, but that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, you can share with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I forgot to share.
No, I've been mostly out of town, so I'm back. I don't.
That's just, Richmond Rescue wanted me to share that with the select board, just kind of gives you a quarterly report on what they were doing. So you can pass that on to each one of those guys. I also, want to, let you guys know, I did speak with East Coast Signals. Thank you.
So those are the manufacturers of our thing.
No, this is the company that will be able to maintain the signs, and the streetlights. We'll be able to order streetlights and stuff like that. So what he wanted to do was, he's gonna touch base with me in a couple of weeks, and he really wants to meet with myself and the new road foreman, so that it can all be on one page and go from there. So just wanted to let everybody know, we are still working on those.
Yeah, and so that's a good point, and I think one thing to connect with the new foreman when he starts on Monday. Those portable signs just need to be, even if you just pull them out and park them at the bottom of the road.
Yep.
For the.
And there's no car.
All four of them at the bottom of the road by the, right, like just, and really get one on Skunk Hollow.
Yep.
I just think it is so easy to do,
Are
and
those
Right.
working?
Huh?
we don't know, we haven't.
They never really hooked up.
These are the ones that are on a trail, so you just connect them to a truck,
Yeah.
you go and you park them somewhere,
Yeah,
probably more to it, yeah,
Are
turn.
these the solar panels?
no,
No,
Now,
these are just ones that are battery operated, you plug them.
they're meant for temporary,
Yep.
right, like,
You
Okay,
can,
charge them up overnight, you go in and park them on Skunk Hollow for
Yep.
the day, and you just
Yeah.
grab them the day later.
I'm not really sure how, yeah, it could go for, yeah,
and then you move them over to, Griswold or.
Yeah.
That's
something like that.
about 4.
we got 4.
Or wherever,
Somebody's having-
Scarborough, or wherever Omar,
Yeah.
Omar was always asking us.
I would say like hey, Jacob, welcome to Monday, welcome aboard.
Okay.
Job one, you get those things any time in
Yes,
town.
go put them up.
Yes.
And then, but
Anywhere on Stone Hollow.
the sign company would then take care of it, right?
Yes,
Good,
yep.
because for whatever reason, I've now started getting, ads from radar sign companies. Sorry.
Just keep them.
Keep your phone,
Yeah.
phone near you all of a sudden, you'll get,
But this one,
I mean, they need maintenance,
it's,
it'll work.
Well,
It'll
the
work. That's
ones,
a manufacturing problem.
the ones I think that are in the center, I don't know either, but I think they've said, or the highway guys have said, Fletcher, I think he was working on them. He thinks the solar panel is smaller than what actually
Than required
should
to
be
keep that in
on,
charge.
yeah. So another thing Roger mentioned this morning, which was a pretty good idea, is he said, take those solar panels off and put them on the ones that we put around town. Like, well, that's kind of a good idea if
if they work.
Yeah, right.
The notes.
I don't
I
know.
bet they are.
Yeah.
I
I
bet they're
don't,
set up to.
yeah, I don't know, but, so yes, we
So one-
will
the one
definitely.
at Jericho Center is permanently there forever.
yeah, that's.
Those two are permanent, and then there's more on,
Both at Jericho Center.
yes, and then there's two other ones that are at the Browns River Middle School on each side.
Okay, and all four are non-functional?
The two in the center work like 1 out of every 10 times I drive by.
Right,
Right.
right,
And really, and if that's the case, then they have to order, and they have to reimburse us for.
for the solar, yeah,
And they need to send us the order.
The company we bought them from.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
They sold something and it's just not working. That's not
Yeah.
our problem. That's their problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Related to all that, my son is happy to, who by the way is 30 years old, has autism and, he works electrical stuff a lot, not safely, but a lot.
Yeah.
And said he's willing to open the power box by the Jericho Center Market Crossing crosswalk.
oh,
Because the button doesn't work.
right.
And he said, I can fix that, Dad. He said, no, you can't. No, I can't, Dad. Do we know what the problem is with that one?
That one I do not know. What I had heard was at one point, they put it up and it's not reading from the other one across the road.
Because
That's,
one was fixed and one wasn't, or something like that.
It wasn't
It goes safely
reading.
from Raceway over the
over,
market.
yes,
So when you press the button by Raceway on the Raceway side and come across, you're fine. When you go
Right.
back, you press the button, nothing happens.
exactly,
And I need
yes.
a wheelchair, press the button and rolled right out into the street and nothing had happened. And it wasn't a squeaky tire, wasn't squeal tires, but there was a car that stopped and if they hadn't stopped, she would have been killed.
Oh dear.
She didn't even, she hit the button and didn't even like
She
check.
thought, yeah,
Like,
it
That's BS, that you don't even need to have the light to stop. It's a crosswalk,
Right.
you should stop.
Yeah, it's a legal
It's supposed to
crosswalk,
be,
right?
As
Yeah,
long as it's a marked crosswalk.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So who would fix that? Would that be the road crew or
Well,
that? What
I
do they know
think,
about?
you know, and I'm not sure if they have keys to unlock something over there. I don't know, but I could find that out for you.
Yeah, and if we don't,
Maybe this company can take care of all those stupid signs.
They said they could take care of all those kinds of signs.
Because it really
Yeah, that would be-
appears that the road crew is, you know, because they're so busy with so much other, you know,
and we're gonna know
they-
about the electronics of an expensive
Right,
crosswalk. I mean,
right.
that's not their job. I mean,
Because
maybe it is, but that's not their. skill
Right,
set.
right.
Not
Yeah.
anymore, I mean, because things have gotten so much more complicated.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And clearly, because we were down at least one, sometimes
Yes.
two, they really
A low
did.
priority.
Yes,
It's
yep,
very low priority, but.
yep.
but
So
yeah.
what's the cost
No
of?
priority on a given day, but
Right,
over the course
This,
of 2
this
months.
is,
it needs to be high.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
gotta
I
be,
like
yeah,
couldn't see
it's
it
gotta
before
be done.
there's
Yep.
before noon today and there's this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Right,
So will the cost be of the sign fixer company, the sign?
Yeah.
We
Take
haven't
care.
gotten it yet. We haven't gotten it because of the fact that
So he wants to go meet with them, get an idea of what might be required.
wants to drive around, see them
Oh, he
all.
wants to get a read, he wants.
Yes, he wants to
what the
see
lay of the
all
land
of
is.
those. Yep,
Okay.
yep,
yeah, because
yep.
all got slowed down because unfortunately the original owner passed away while we
Yes.
were processing.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but that's great.
Okay.
So they have warrants to sign, and then they have minutes to approve. And I have a couple changes, but after the minutes are approved, they need to go to,
I sent them a draft copy.
oh, did you?
Yes,
Okay.
but I told her to let me know if she wanted the approved copy and I can send it to her.
Okay,
I haven't
good.
heard back from her, but
Good,
yeah.
because luckily it's Leslie,
Amy Jewell for the appointment of Leslie Nolte and Tom Jocelyn
yeah.
for the Chittenden Solid Waste District.
Plus, it was also the same night we approved their budget, so, you know,
Yeah.
it also helps to have that.
Yep, yep.
But anyway, I have a, line 217 is just a real technical thing. They have an extra P with the RCC, RPC. And then on the 218, it was CCRP, but it's RPC. CCRPC.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
there's an extra C on two
There's an extra
seventeen.
P on 217.
Oh, on the other end, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, the extra P, and then the other one forgot the C on the other end.
Okay,
But, you know, it's a, you know, acronym city over there. It really
Yeah.
is.
yep.
And then, line 285, we ended up, because we had started our updates, and then Jessica had come in and told us that we needed to do another liquor license. And it came, the way she put it in, it came in between what I was talking about. I know it may have been the way we had started, but in terms of people trying to read the minutes, I would think right after Gaye finishes talking, which is line 281, put the review and consider approval liquor licenses and the motion there, and then.
Hold on a minute, where are you on two?
281 isn't where.
Yeah, that doesn't say,
Right.
no.
No, that's why I said I want to move it there.
Move what, where is it?
Yeah.
Where's it now?
Yeah.
At 287.
Two,
You see, it's split exactly what I was talking about, and it doesn't make sense then, either way.
287 isn't that, oh, I see, review and, okay.
Review and consider approval of liquor licenses?
Yeah, we had to shift what we were doing
you wanna move that up?
to where after Gaye finishes, because there's a break in the action anyway.
To like 282 is where I would put it.
You wanna combine all the liquor licenses?
No, I was just gonna move it to 282 because we actually had split them. Rather than go all the way back to all the liquor licenses, but it's okay to have it there, but then go back to select board updates. But what had happened is I had started talking and then I had to stop, and then we have all this break, and then it doesn't make sense what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're saying in the sense that the end of the municipality fiscal years are different. You should pick up immediately with Catherine said there are changes to the project schedule, that
Yes.
should be one paragraph.
Okay, so we're gonna move Catherine said down to
Right,
right before Catherine said there are changes.
right, and then move the liquor licenses up to 282.
Okay,
Because it doesn't make sense. Because I'm just talking, so why did I say that the, you know,
Yeah.
fiscal years were different?
I don't know, Catherine, you got me confused.
But it's all about Bridge 15.
Okay.
And I don't know if she didn't get my email, but on the 19th, right after our meeting, I sent the when we exited executive session.
Oh,
And when we
You know,
adjourned.
you should just CC me on it, and then if I get them, then I can fix them.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. then.
Send them to her, but if we don't see it, then I can just put it in there.
Yeah, because I sent it, and went, but it's not here. And I knew and I even went and checked my sent file, that I thought, you know, was I dreaming when I did that? Because it was such a weird night, but.
So just just send them to me and I'll fix this, I'll add it, and then we can.
Well, anyway, I have the, Eric motion to exit, executive session at 10:43. And Peter seconded that, motion passed 3-0. No action was taken. And then Peter motioned, Eric seconded to adjourn at 10:44, motion passed 3-0. That takes care of all the stuff.
Motion to accept the minutes of 4/18/24 with as amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can we jump back to select board updates? And this will now mess up the minutes, so this,
Are you kidding? Do you,
I'm not.
what's the trend you guys are doing?
This is new and different. I knew I had done something else, and I could not remember what it was, and I've been digging on my email, and I finally remember what it was. After our last meeting, when the Walnut Lane, Lane,
Oh, Black Walnut, yeah.
Black Walnut about their road, and I was like, of course, it's a road in town, we have to take care of it, obviously, and then you guys were like, well, not really always, and so I said, I contacted the VLCT and asked them about that, and they basically said like, really clearly, this is not legal advice, you ask the question, we're gonna tell you some generalities, but we're not telling you what to do at all. And the short version was basically you need to have a process that you follow.
Yep.
And it's critical that you follow them, and I think in here some way, I think somewhere in here, and I haven't read it since in 2 weeks. He said, and by the way, no one's taking over town roads these days. No one's taking over roads anymore.
I sent one out to VLCT too and asked the
They
same
have
question.
taken over roads a very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure, and that just, and I've been thinking about it, I've been driving around, like, okay, so there's a huge piece of property, someone puts 5 houses on there and drops a road in. When does their driveway become a road? And when is Jericho's job? And when is it the town's job? When is it the town's job? And when is it the developer's job? And the developer owns that. And so now I'm thinking, okay, so go back 50 years when Starboard Drive was built, that was just a piece of land that somebody divided up and dropped a road into, and why did the town take that one and not take Black
Well, that-
Walnut?
I think that's what Jim was suggesting, that at some point, the town said, we're not doing this anymore, and then
Right.
they haven't since, and that probably was,
Cause initially,
30 or 40 years.
yeah.
but there were also private roads then as well. And now, more and more developers, because the towns, various towns ask the developers, put the roads in, it's your roads.
Right.
And
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that whole thing, mostly because it seems that somebody or for some reason.
Yeah, they have a sense that
That
we.
they had a sense that they should be able to get it accepted and,
And I stupidly said, well, just show us who told you that and put it, shut our face, we can't do it.
but
Now I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we shouldn't do that.
Right.
no, but if they did, with that was approved, but I do not recall.
Are we discussing this right now? Is this legal? Seriously? Could you be discussing this? This is a topic.
I'm not making any motions, but I think what I had suggested, I think what we answered with was, yeah, we understand you've done everything. There's nothing specifically that we're asking you to do. But we need, what I said is, we need to understand what our process is for this. And
To the,
We Jericho, we the select board, you know, what our.
Jericho needs to figure out how we want to handle accepting new roads, and I don't know what that is. It's like.
oh,
we asked them-
it's in the handbook. The whole process of taking road,
It actually is.
yeah.
Not that handbook.
It's the.
Oh, you don't have the select board handbook, do you? Cause I said.
No, I do. No, I have.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
all state stuff.
No, the select board handbook tells us how like.
If you look up like roads.
But there's how to do it, and there's also how we're
Like a
doing it.
policy or like what,
Right,
yeah, like,
and so.
not legally how you do it, but how you decide.
But see, the select board are the only legislative section of the town that can take or get rid of a road. And there's a process you follow.
But I think Eric is saying, how do you make that decision? How do you decide, yes, this road, not that road?
And
That,
it all has to do with when because I think he was just told that was the road that could be accepted, because the DRB has no authority. And I don't remember, it being in, at that point, the select board wasn't taking over roads.
Yeah, and that's where my concern is I don't think they're being dishonest in that they were somehow given some
sense
the
that
DRB or. The
Yeah.
developer, where it
Whoever.
came from, but like, it's gonna put us in a tough spot, and we have kind of been leading them on and.
No, we just kept saying we needed information, but
Yeah.
and we really do, but it's, because once you go down the rabbit hole, but you're right, VLCT, that the people don't take over roads anymore, developers build the roads and they take care of the roads.
Is that true? So that's where some information I'd like to get. I don't know, like, if they put a new development in Essex, I think Essex takes over the road.
Not necessarily,
I think they do. I think they
they
do.
make the developers put the roads in.
Right, but I think but then it becomes a town road. I don't think these developments are paying people
in Essex to go and plow these things, but I think the way they do it is they do it through assessment fees.
Exactly.
And so the town might get $1.5 million or $10 million, and then they say, okay, we take over the road, and that's what I have a sense based on my discussion with Matt Champlin.
And we do
That's how they do it.
And our fees are not very large.
Right.
And when you begin to cover even another road person.
Right. So anyway, no, we can't really make decisions on it, but that's why I was like, I get you've done all the things, but I don't know, we can't. Because as soon as we say yes to that, every other private road is like in line, so.
And we also don't want nobody wants really huge roads anymore because of the stormwater, problems with all those roads.
So now there's one who did much really well.
So what do we need to do to close that out?
Should we reach out to like Bill and them and find out like how did this begin? Like, do you want me to do that?
I
And
think it's.
They thought they had it, but yeah,
well, who
It would
did
be
they
Chris.
come to and speak to here?
I think
Chris.
we should listen to the minutes, but I think they said the DRB told us the town would take over the road. Or maybe the developer told us that the DRB told him or her.
So you really need to check with Chris, or, or somebody within, because there should be records of Black Walnut
Okay,
development.
Approval.
Yeah, because I know that I was part of the DRB, was chair actually at one point of that, and I shut down half their developments because they didn't have a second access road. And they were gonna put in 30 houses in, and said you can't have 30 houses without having a second access. So it took them a long, long time to be able to do that second half. Because
So
they had to
they-
get second access.
So if they can't pull together some kind of,
even if they can,
We can say
honestly,
no.
even if they can, I just personally feel bad for them that they were let on. I don't care. It
Absolutely.
doesn't seem like they have any legal recourse, but I just, as a public body, feel
You
that
didn't say your answer.
I just,
you should get rid of it.
why not?
I think we've gone too far down. this
Yeah.
direction.
But I think we owe them an answer.
That's my concern. We said,
We owe them an answer.
we said, go back by this date, and we will have information for you.
June
We said that.
second.
That's in the business.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
June second, I
And
think.
in doing that, I would like to find out
We
where
need to
they got
do
that
some
from.
work before that, to figure that out and decide what we're gonna do
You can check,
and how much they're gonna hate us.
all the DRB records, would have, there should be something in the DRB record.
Okay.
Or in the develop,
Indicating
or in wherever, because the only road that's taken over during my time on the board was White Oak, and that because it was in the record that was going to be taken over.
in what record?
Way back, some early select board record.
The select board document, the select board statement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I said we were to talk to the new road foreman, get an understanding of
Implications.
his implications out of,
Mhm,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, I mean, you're just gonna feel bad, but it's, right now, we can't do any of this decision, but anyway, what we need to do now is, we need to go into executive session for a relatively short one because Paul's had a long night already.
Oh.
Motion to go into executive session, to discuss personnel and legal because premature disclosure of the information would be detrimental to the parties involved, and I'd like to invite Paul Carrier to the executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you all.